For analysis, we turn to Dr. Matthew Bunson, Vice President and Editorial Director for EWTN News. Thanks for being here. Quickly, can you first clarify what is the role and importance of this document when the Synod reconvenes in Rome in October?
Every Synod has a working document, or it's a kind of tool. The word blueprint is often used for this. Essentially, it's what they will use as a guide for their labors in the next session for the Synod. This one is pretty different from the one that we saw just last year. We have to think of these as two parts of a whole. We had the Instrumentum for last year in October of 2023 that was much more sprawling. It had worksheets. It was much longer. It touched on a lot of the hot button issues. This one is much more tight. It is very focused and shorter, too, to be sure. But it's a reflection, I think, of everything that has happened from the end of the last Synod to this one. And dare one say that this is a project, in many ways, a reflection of synodality. They listened to what happened in that first session of the Synod, and this one reflects that.
And adapted. To that point, this guiding document notably does not include, as you said, some of the controversial topics that were discussed during last year's gathering, such as women's admission to the diaconate. What does that signal to you?
Well, it signals to me that, as I was just saying, there's a lot that happened from the end of the session. We were both in Rome for all of that, and the start of this new one coming in October. One of the most important aspects is the request, the mandate, basically, from Pope Francis to focus the discussions this October specifically on synodality in the life of the Church, to set aside the hot-button issues that became very controversial and, in the eyes of many, slowed down some of the conversations, but also created an atmosphere of not acrimony, but of division in the Synod Hall. Pope Francis, to deal with those issues, created 10 study groups. And so we're seeing already a focus of this Synod specifically on synodality, and the Instrumentum reflects that, and I suspect that we'll be seeing that play out in the Synod Hall in October.
To put this all into context, looking ahead to October, that will mark the end of the discernment phase of this synodal process. And then what comes after that?
Yeah, there are three trains basically now in motion. The first one is the actual Synod on synodality. We're going to have the conclusion of it, as you noted, the discernment phase in October. But then we also have the document that they're going to vote on, presumably at the end. This final report will be given to Pope Francis. He then has to decide what to do with that report. Typically, and this is the second train, he will write an apostolic exhortation, his reflection on the work of the Synod. But then we have this third train that's in motion, and that is all of the study groups that are handling these big topics, the controversial topics that are not going to be touched in October. At some point, all three have to converge, and that's where things for the life of the Church are going to be very interesting, and that's where the implementation phase sets in. So, yes, this is going to end in October for the Synod on synodality, but synodality in the life of the Church is just getting underway.
And like you said, we'll continue to monitor and report every step of that way, including in October in Rome. Matthew Bunson, thank you for your time.
Great to be with you.